All right, I'm here with LFA 107 winner Kamuela the Jawaian Kirk, picking up probably one of the most impressive performances I've seen as of late. But the manner in which you won, and I mean, you kind of predicted this thing, okay? In the pre-fight interviews with with the guys, you were talking about you were questioning his heart, and no offense to him or anything, but the man quit between rounds 2 and 3, giving you the TKO win. I mean, you called it, and it pretty much happened the way you did. But we got action before the finish, right? I mean, we got to see you battle adversity. There was a couple arm bars. One was deeper than the other. The other, you could see you were pretty much out of trouble. But your striking was on display. It seemed like your right hand couldn't miss. I mean, just it was a beautiful performance. It was a beautiful
Thanks, man.
performance. How we feeling? About a week or so, maybe two. I can't remember. My dates suck, but how we feeling? A few days removed from the win.
Yeah. So we're about a week and a half out now. This upcoming Friday will be 2 weeks. But yeah, I feel really good, man. I feel better than I thought I was gonna feel. My last like two or three fights. Well, before this, I didn't really get hit. My fight against Bruno Souza for LFA, he hit me with a couple teeps, a couple push kicks to the body, and I think one of his punches grazed my nose. And so I mean, I barely got touched that fight. The fight afterwards with Guillermo, I believe is how you pronounce his name, Guillermo Santos. Same thing. I think I got hit maybe one time, so I came out pretty much unscathed. And this was the first fight in a while where I felt like, oh man, actually, I woke up the next morning. I'm like, man, I feel like I was in a fight. Actually, that night, I felt like I was in a fight. Had a small cut above my right eye, and then I thought that I broke my foot on one of those kicks. So, my foot was pretty, beaten up and pretty bruised feeling. And so now, though, it turns out I actually didn't break my foot. It's just deep bruising in the bone, so that's not too bad. The cut is pretty much almost gone, and the body feels fantastic. So I definitely feel like I can fight, you know, pretty much any time. So, yeah, I feel good, and that's actually the plan. The plan has not changed. After my fight, with a couple weeks or a week and a half ago, after LFA 107, I said, hey, the goal is to fight. The UFC is going to be here on June 12th. That's a stacked card, and I would love to fight here, in my home state, and that's still the plan. Now, I want to make sure that I'm still ready. So, if there's a drop off, whether it's at 155 or at 145, I want to make sure that I'm ready to go. And so after my last fight, initially I kind of thought that's probably unrealistic just given how my body was feeling. But after a few days, I was like, actually, you know what? On second thought, full steam ahead, man. I think we're gonna be good to go. So it's basically where we're at right now, man. And just want to stay ready in case I get that call.
Okay, when you just real quick, since we're on that subject, you've got the experience of 55 now. So the taking a short notice at 55, it's not going to be a heavy weight to bear, or something that you would be unfamiliar with. That unknown where, like, I don't know how I'll perform. Well, we know the answer to that, and you perform pretty fucking well.
Yeah, no, dude, thank you. I fought at 55 now two or three times. I know I did a catch. I'd have to look back at my record, but I know I did a catch weight at 150 years ago, and then I've fought at 155. I think two or three times now, something like that. And every time I fight at 55, man, I feel fantastic. Because it's not as strenuous on your body because you don't have to cut quite as much weight. So fighting at 55, I feel strong. I feel even conditioning wise, I feel really good. Um, Not to say that I don't feel big and strong and well conditioned at 145, because I've definitely gotten better over the years cutting down to 150 to 145. My reload is night and day better than what it used to be. So I feel great at 145 as well. But not having to cut quite as much weight and fighting at lightweight is fantastic, man. I love the way that I feel. It's physically not as draining. It's not as the weight cut is the worst part, dude. It's everybody's least favorite part of the entire fighting experience. And so when the weight cut doesn't suck quite as much, it just makes everything else better. You know what I mean? So yeah, so I'm definitely not opposed to 55. Love the way that I feel and love how easy it is, or how much easier, I should say. Weight cuts are still tough, but how much easier it is to get down to 55.
For sure. And it also gives you that, kind of little ace in your back pocket where, if things aren't, hey, what's your name?
Oh, this is Coco, dude. This is Coco. It's one of our female Ronnies. Hey, say hi, baby.
Hi, Coco.
Yeah, she's awesome, dude. She
Yeah, my Coco's
just turned
about the
3.
size of her head.
Yeah. Oh yeah, dude. She's got a all right now, and she was being shy a second ago. Not anymore.
There we go.
Okay, baby. Okay. But anyway, I'm sorry, dude. What were you saying?
Well, what I was saying is the 55 gives you an ace in your back pocket because obviously most of your career has taken place at 45, and that's probably most athletes. They have a weight class where they feel, not with the weight cutting, because obviously going to 55 it's less strenuous on the body, but there is a weight class where fighters feel, even though they could fight up or down, there's an optimum weight class,
Exactly.
right? So fighting at 45 is probably your optimum. You can do 55 if you need to, or 50, like you said. But you always have that in your back pocket to where if things in the career are starting to feel rocky at a certain weight class, you can always reinvent yourself because, hey, I've done it before and I've had success.
Totally. And you know what, man? Fighting at 55 has actually been something that I've talked to my family and my coaches about for years. Years. We've talked about, I think it's inevitable at some point in my career, I'm going to probably make that permanent jump to 155. Not yet, you know what I mean? I still have some time, but as I continue to get older, I'm 27 now, as I continue to get older and continue to, fill out a little bit, and as weight cuts gradually start to get tougher and tougher, because I think you see that over the years, as you get older, the weight cuts, the weight doesn't come off quite as easy as it used to. And so I think once I reach that point, then I'll make that jump up to 155. And look at people who've done that, man. Look at Dustin Poirier. Look at the success that Charles Oliveira is having now. And he fought at 45 for, however many years, however many fights he was down at 45. And now he's the lightweight champion. Conor, he had success at 145 and then ended up moving up to 55 and did great. Now you have guys like Kevin Lee, who was a 55, who's now jumping up to welterweight. You kind of saw that with Donald Cerrone. He moved up as well. So you see these guys where over time and as their careers progress, they end up moving up in weight because, like you said, you have a weight class where you're optimum at, right? But that might not always be forever. And at some point, your body says, hey, it's time to move up because that's where we're going to be optimum now. You know what I mean? That's where we're going to be our best. So I think it's inevitable at some point I will do that. I do love fighting at 155 now. So maybe that move will be sooner than I think, sooner than later. But we'll see. Because like I said, I also feel great at 145. And if I have a big size advantage at 145, why would I want to give that up?
Exactly. And I think the way that you approach the weight cut is very telling too, because some guys, they just cut for that advantage. And it seems like, these last few fights that you've had at 45, they've been relatively not as strenuous. So you're getting it down to that science.
Dude, totally. I used to kill myself to make 145, which is why we've talked about, my team and I, we've talked about moving up to 55 for so long, because it used to be hell making 145. And we've gotten so much better at it, man. What I used to try to do is just because I was ignorant to it, man. I didn't really have a whole lot of experience or really a whole lot of guidance in the weight cutting, as far as the weight cutting side of things. And then same thing with the reload. I didn't really have a whole lot of experience as far as like properly rehydrating and refueling my body after a tough weight cut. So what I would do is I would wait until, I don't know, a week and a half before the fight, and then try to lose 20 to 30 pounds. You know what I'm saying? And then I would just feel horrible. Where now 5-6 weeks out, I'll start to, not only am I eating clean just because I want to make sure that I'm giving my body the right fuel that it needs to perform at its best, but I'm dieting my way down so that when I have to lose my last few pounds for the cut part, I don't have to kill myself to do it. You know what I mean? So it's definitely gotten easier over the years. That's why we'll see what happens. We'll see when I move up to 55, because as long as I can keep making 45 the way that I have been, we'll probably stay here for a while. Or maybe I'll bounce back and forth between 155 and 145, given the opportunities that present themselves. I'm game for that as well. You know what I mean? So we have options.
Exactly. And in this sport, options are one of the best things to have.
100%. I don't want to be limited, you know what I'm saying, at all. So we keep both doors open.
Absolutely. Now, I wanted to talk about the nickname, the moniker, the Jawaian,
Yeah.
right? Because a lot of people, they may not know like where it necessarily came from and how you got it. So I'd love to hear the story.
Yeah. So basically, I got the nickname the Jawaian. It was a nickname that my dad gave me when I was a kid, and it was just something that always stuck. He used to call me Jawaian boy, and then just Jawaian. It was just always something that stuck over the years. But so my family's from Hawaii. My mom and dad both have, both of their sides of the family are from Hawaii, and then my mom also has family from Jamaica as well. So I was born in Hawaii, and then with the Jamaican blood on my mom's side, the Jamaican Hawaiian hybrid. So my dad, like I said, would call me Jawaian boy, and it was always something that stuck.
Okay, so it's strictly based on your family's where they came from.
Correct. And there's a style of music called Hawaiian music too, where it's basically Hawaiian music with some Jamaican influence. So, if you're familiar with some of the bands like The Green, Common Kings, some of these bands, Maoli, they're the band that sings my fight song. They are considered Hawaiian bands. You know what I mean? Because they're not straight traditional Hawaiian artists as far as the sound of their music. But you would never classify them as reggae artists either. So it's just kind of that mix, Hawaiian music. So yeah, so basically, the time I'll never forget. It was actually we were in Hawaii listening to the radio, and they were talking about Hawaiian music, and that was actually when my dad was like, "Hey, Hawaiian music," and then called me the Hawaiian boy just because of the Jamaican Hawaiian thing. And then from then on, dude, it always just was a thing. So.
Right on, man. Right on. Well, that's pretty cool. And you can never, ever give your nickname to yourself. You just can't.
You can't do it, man. No, some people do, and I always lose respect for those nicknames because nicknames are earned. You know what I'm saying? You can't give it. Nicknames are like cauliflower ear. You know what I mean? You can never just give yourself cauliflower ear. You have to earn the cauliflower. They're like trophies. Nicknames are the same way. You can't just give yourself a nickname, dude. They're earned over time. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I agree with that 100% because, early on, I didn't have, any training and they asked me for a nickname and they're like, well, what do people call you? And I was like, oh, Dick. So that's what they went with. So I was
Nice.
the Dick. So that's pretty much what I go by, just forever, So
there you go. It's funny, dude. My dad has the ultimate nickname because my dad's name is Chip, but his legal name is Samuel. And Chip is not on his birth certificate. It's not on his ID. It's nowhere to be found. But he's grown up being called Chip. It was because my grandparents, so my dad's mom and dad, they got into an argument over what they wanted to name my dad. My grandfather, whose name is also Samuel, and that's actually where Kamuela comes from. So Kamuela means Samuel in Hawaiian, and it's a name that's been passed down from my grandfather. My grandfather made my dad a junior. So my dad is Samuel, and then when I was born in Hawaii, so they named me Kamuela, which is obviously Samuel in Hawaiian, like I said. But it's funny because my grandmother did not want my dad to be a junior. She wanted to name my dad Chip, and so my grandfather goes, "No, I want to make him a junior." She goes, "No, I want to call him Chip," and he's like, "No, I'm gonna lay my foot down on this one, and we're gonna make him a junior." And my grandma goes, "You know what? Fine, you can name him whatever you want. I'm calling him Chip." And so before he was ever even born, my grandmother had it set in her mind she was going to call my dad Chip, even though that's not his name. It's never been his legal name. And now every single person on the face of the earth calls him Chip, and most people don't even know that his real name is Samuel. It's the funniest thing.
That's pretty wild, but,
Yeah.
grandmas are like that. Once they've made up their mind, like
women, dude. Women are like that.
Well, okay.
Women are like that, and it just goes to show that they don't change, no matter what their age.
I was trying to put it politely, but okay, we'll roll with that. And as a married man with 2 daughters, I can 100%. That is just factual.
There you go, dude. It's science, man. It's basic. It's biology, really.
Oh, 100%. So. To promote this fight, you went on your Instagram, or I'm not really. That's where I saw the video.
Yeah.
And you were talking about the feeling you got from your first fight, right? And I watched the whole damn. I don't know. It was like maybe 11 minutes or something like that. I was at work, and that's what I spent my break on. I was watching this whole video of you just explaining, your first fight, and how you felt, and you explained quite a bit. And one thing in that video, right? You said, you don't have any now, but you don't know if children will be able to top that feeling. So
Yeah, that's right.
I would like to expand on that a little bit, because I fought amateur as well, and things didn't go my way, but things went your way in front of your crowd, your hometown. You said promoters, and there was family members there. So why don't you quickly explain the situation, and then why you feel such a way?
Yeah, so basically, I had just turned 17, and I remember this because it was actually exactly to the day 1 month after my 17th birthday. So I just turned 17, and we used to promote these smoker events to basically give guys experience fighting in front of a live audience, and nothing was ever it wasn't sanctioned. So basically it was glorified sparring. You know what I mean? So that fight, although everything about it was as real as any fight that I've ever been in my entire life, you won't find it on my record. You know what I mean? But I still consider that my MMA debut. It was the first time that I had an MMA fight. It was in front of an audience, and I didn't know the guy. I'd never trained with the guy before. It was, like I said, as real as any fight I'd ever been in. But anyways, yeah. So we used to host those at our gym, and I was making my MMA debut. And I've been around the sport for a long time. I first started training when I was 4 years old, and I did it on and off over the years. I didn't do it straight from the time that I was 4. Did it on and off, and then my family opened up the gym when I was 13. I always had success in jiu-jitsu competitions. When I finally did start doing striking, when I finally started learning striking, I picked up on it fairly quickly. And so there was just a lot of hype around me from a young age, and so going into the fight, I didn't want to disappoint anybody. I didn't want to let anybody down. The fight was at our gym. I sure as hell did not want to lose in my own gym. You know what I mean? My dad was the DJ. So back in Hawaii, when my dad was younger, he used to DJ, and that's how he made his money. So he's got plenty of DJing experience. So he was the DJ for the event. My uncle was the ring announcer. One of my coaches who I first started training with when I was 4 years old, he was the referee. So dude, I just had, and this is my first fight. And I have all this hype around me. And, oh, man, he's going to do so well. Oh, I can't wait to see him fight. And dude, it was just the pressure to this day. Dude, I've never felt any kind of pressure like that. And there's a fly in here. But anyways, dude, it was so intense. But because of how nervous I was and how much pressure I felt, once I got the win, and I ended up finishing my opponent with a triangle choke, and once I got that win, and it was under a minute, it was like 54 seconds or something like that in the first round. We exchanged a little bit on the feet, and then I tried to shoot in. He sprawled. I ended up locking up a triangle choke, and because of how intense everything was, it made the victory that much better, and those feelings that much more amplified. And dude, I look around, dude, everybody's up on their feet, man, and some people were crying, dude. My dad's freaking out, and it was just, yeah, like to this day, dude, it was the greatest night of my life, man. I've never had. I mean, even headlining LFA and winning and all these things, incredible, but nothing has topped that first fight, that first win at the gym. You know what I mean?
Yet. Because I believe, and I'm pretty sure the consensus is, that you're eventually going to make it to the UFC. Now, and of course, you're going to want to start a family, and that involves, children and stuff. So there are 2 events that I believe may top this. One, I know for sure, being a father myself, it's a feeling that you cannot explain. And of course, making it to why people start, training and competing in mixed martial arts, especially at a high level. It's because they want to be the best. They want to get to, they want to get to the UFC. So we'll just talk. We'll keep it in fighting here. So how do you?
I do want to say though, real quick, before we move
Sure.
on. When I said that in the video, I was halfway joking. When I have kids, when I get married and I have kids, I'm sure nothing in my entire life, for the rest of my life, after I have my kids, I'm sure nothing will ever top that, except for maybe seeing having grandkids one day, one day when my kids grow up and then they have kids, you know what I'm saying? I'm sure that would be an incredible feeling as well. But yeah, I was halfway joking. I pretty much said that to emphasize how incredible of a moment that was for me in my life. But yeah, dude, I'm sure when I actually have kids one day, that will top everything and anything that I ever experienced from that point forward.
And I think that goes without saying. And I'm pretty sure everybody else picked up on that. Just giving you a hard time here. But, making it to the UFC, right? Is it enough to just get there? Do you think that to get there, do you think that'll top the MMA debut getting there?
Dude, honestly, I don't know, man. I don't know. Getting my first UFC win is going to be incredible. At this point, though, dude, with my MMA debut, there was so much unknown. You know what I mean? Like that's what it was like. It was just the first, man. You always remember your first, and it was just now, dude. It's like I'm expecting now. I have a mentality of expectation. Like I knew I was gonna win that fight with LFA, and I said how I was gonna do it and how I thought I was gonna win. Now I didn't predict that he was gonna retire on the stool, but I said to the commentators the day before the fight, and I had said before, I think he's got quit in him. I think I'm gonna break him. He's gonna look for a way out. I said the same thing in my, before my last fight. I was gonna go out there. I was gonna hurt him. He was gonna come in hot. I was gonna hurt him, and then as soon as I started to feel him slow down and break a little bit, that's when I was gonna pick it up and finish him. And that's exactly how the fight went. At this point, man, I have a mentality of expectation, and I see the way that I want things to go in my career. And as long as things continue to happen in my control, then I know where my future lies. When I made my MMA debut, man, it's like I didn't have other than experience. I didn't have that. I was confident, but I didn't have the reasons to be confident yet, like I do now. Now it's like, do you have a resume? I have 11 fights and 11 finishes. It's like I have a reason to be confident. Where before it was like I'm confident just because I've trained for a while. You know what I mean? It's like just everything. Again, the fear of the unknown, dude. It made that moment so much more special. Now it's I expect my next fight to be in the UFC. I expect that I'm going to go out there and I'm going to finish whoever they put in front of me. I expect that I'm going to make a name for myself relatively quickly once I get in the UFC, because I don't want to get in the UFC and not be talked about and not be known and just to be. I don't want to be just another guy on the roster. I want people to be talking about me from the moment I get into UFC, and I want to move up the ladder quickly. So it's going to be an incredible moment when I get into UFC and get my first UFC win. But that's just a checkpoint. You know what I'm saying? That's a checkpoint as I continue to make my way to the finish line, ultimately. Again, dude, I don't know. Maybe winning the UFC belt, that'll top, I'm sure, how I felt in that moment, or at least match it. But I think my first UFC win is just going to be the first of many. And I still don't know, dude. I can't explain how much that first MMA win meant to me, dude. It was incredible.
Well, I think the way that you're going about your career, you're taking hard fights. You're fighting, veterans that have the experience, or just the toughest guys available. So you're not taking the bitch route, or taking the safe route. You're taking the hard nosed blue collar way, and that's very respectable, especially if you're going to fight out of Arizona. I mean, if you're gonna represent, you got to represent hard. So
gotta represent, dude. There are a lot of badasses out here, man. There are a lot. Arizona, dude. So many gyms, so much talent. Yeah, a lot of killers coming out of Arizona. It makes it good for us too, because we have so many good training partners, and a lot of us cross train with each other from different gyms. So yeah, it's cool. But yeah, dude, I appreciate you saying that, man. If you look at my record, you look at the guys that I've fought and the guys that I've beaten. I have wins over guys who are in the UFC now. In fact, I fought Kevin Kroom in LFA before he ended up going to the UFC, and he made his UFC debut and knocked out his opponent in, I believe, 30 seconds in the first round. I triangled him and put him to sleep in the first round of our fight in LFA. So I know what level I'm at. I know where I belong. My record is not padded at all, whatsoever. And even guys that I've called out in the past, man, I call out tough guys. I call after not this most recent win, but when I fought Santos, I called out Andrew Yates, who's got a record of, I think, 13-2 or something like that. You know what I mean? I called him out in my post-fight interview, called him out on social media, Never heard back from him. He never reached out to the LFA producers or matchmakers. Never responded to any, to my call out on social media. At this point, if I keep calling the man out, dude, it's going to be harassment. So I'll go ahead and leave that alone. But yeah, man, I've never looked for the easy route, I guess is my point. I want that experience so that when I get to the UFC, man, it's people know that I belong there. I know that I belong there, and I know that the level of competition that I'm going to be fighting once I get there is not going to be too far advanced or too far above the level of competition that I've already been seeing.
Okay, so here's a question for you. Let's say you get signed to the UFC and they, within reason, okay, within reason. If you pay attention to your division well enough, you should be able to answer this. But, if they give you a choice on opponent, is there somebody out there that, maybe, isn't ranked or, is one fight deep in their UFC career to where, if you started the call outs now, because I think that could be very motivating for you and whoever you're calling out, but also helpful in the trajectory of your career, knowing that you're not calling out these guys that are still on the regional circuit, but you're calling out guys in the UFC.
Yeah, it's funny actually, man. After my last fight, a week and a half ago, whenever, I actually wanted to call out what's his face.
There's so many.
What's up?
I said there's so many. What's their faces?
Dude, there's a whole UFC roster of faces. Patty, Krabby Patty Cakes.
Finland?
Yes, Patty the Baddie. He
Okay.
recently signed with the UFC, and the UFC. So the way it works with the UFC, man, is they don't sign a whole lot of outside talent. If you want to get in the UFC, there are really three different ways to do that. Okay, one is to accept a short notice fight. They need somebody, and the way that usually works is, let's say there's a featherweight or a lightweight or whatever weight. They check the UFC roster first. If someone backs out or they get hurt or something happens, whatever, they check with the UFC roster to see if they can find other UFC signed fighters to fight whoever, needs an opponent, right? If there's nobody else on the roster to fill that spot, then they'll start looking for guys outside the roster and they'll sign them in, which is why it's important to make sure that you're staying ready. In fact, the reason why I was able to take this fight against Swain is because after my last LFA fight, I had gotten 3 short notice calls to get into the UFC. None of them ended up, working out, but I was very, very close. 3 different calls, right, since my last fight before. So I was already making sure that I was staying ready in case I got that 4th UFC call, because at some point, one of those calls will end up going through. You know what I'm saying? One of those opportunities will happen. So because I was already in shape getting ready for, a short notice UFC call, when LFA reached out to us about the main event spot, we were able to jump all over that because I was already in pretty good shape. So that's one way to get in the UFC. The other way is Contender Series, and the third way is the Ultimate Fighter TV show. Those are basically the main ways that you get into UFC, because they're not out. They have so many guys already. They're not really out scouting and just signing new talent in, right? But I think that's what they did with this Patty kid. So the UFC made a full-on post and everything. That's actually how I heard about him, because the UFC made a post saying, welcome to the UFC, Patty, whatever his last name is, the baddie, what his nickname, which I find that nickname to be funny, dude. You call women baddies. Like, you see a hot girl and you're like, yo, she's a baddie. So I thought that was Patty the Baddie, whatever. So I look him up, man. I see that he's a featherweight, and I'm like, man, why is there so much hype around this kid? Why would the UFC go out of their way to make a post about this kid, man? Like, he must be something special, I know that they hyped up Connor, like there are certain guys that they really hype up when they sign them, and so I was thinking, I wonder who this kid is, dude. I looked him up, man. I just wasn't impressed. There's a lot of hype around him. I'm down to find out what that hype is about. You know what I'm saying? We could do that. So he was actually someone that I thought about calling out, because he signed with the UFC, I don't know, 2-3 months ago now. Still hasn't made his debut. I don't even know if he has anything in the works as far as an opponent goes. So he signed with the UFC and is basically just chilling. So I don't know what he's waiting for, what the UFC is waiting for. Maybe he's got an injury or something that he's waiting to heal. I don't know. But I'd actually thought about, after my last fight, calling him out, because it would be both of our debuts if we were to fight in the UFC. But yeah, so that's somebody. Bryce Mitchell is also another guy that I have thought about. I think stylistically, man, that would be a fun matchup. We both have a lot of wins by submission. We both have good jiu-jitsu, but I know that he's also not afraid to stand, and I'm not afraid to stand either. So that'd be a fun matchup. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely something that I've thought about, guys, that I would like to call out. I met Chael Sonnen one time. I think it was at a World Series of Fighting. You remember World Series of Fighting? That organization? So that's where Justin Gaethje, man, really made a name for himself. But anyway, so I met him when he was commentating for them. And I remember asking him, hey, Chael, what's your advice? What would you tell somebody who's trying to make the most amount of money possible in MMA? Because the window for MMA is so small in someone's life. How could somebody really capitalize and make the most out of their time in the sport? And he said, man, he goes, you got to be your own matchmaker. You got to be your own. What do you say? He's like, you gotta be your own marketer, your own producer. He goes, matchmakers love it when you do their job for them. Producers love it when you do their jobs for them, because when you're calling people out, you create buzz, man. And so it makes it easy for the matchmaker to be like, oh, this dude's calling this guy. Okay, yeah, let's put them together. You have control of your career. You can pick. You can say, I want to fight this dude. I want to fight that dude. You create buzz. And then what happens is the producers, it makes it easy on the producers to market the fight, because now they got audio or whatever of you trash talking people. And so then it's like you're in control of your career. You're dictating the direction of your career. And then you're making more money too, because now you're creating buzz and there's hype around these fights. Like the UFC, they dropped a video a long time ago called Bad Blood, Good Business. And there's 100% truth to that, man. So there's a lot, man. So I definitely, that's what I mean when I get to the UFC, man. I'm going to think everything through. I'm going to make sure that I'm calling my shots. I don't just want to be another guy in the sport who's just, hey, who do you want to fight next? Oh, whoever the UFC puts in front of me. Dude, nobody wants to hear that answer. Nobody likes. Every single time I hear that, dude, I'm like, what a waste opportunity. You could have talked some shit. You could have called somebody out, man. You could have created some buzz. You could have said something that had everybody talking about you. If they're not talking about your performance, they're talking about what you said on the mic afterwards, right? Or if they're not talking about both already. But instead, it's like they blow that opportunity, man. And nah, dude, I'm a little bit of a shit talker just by nature anyways. So I'm not going to be that guy, man, who's just, I'm the UFC's bitch. And whoever they want to throw at me at any given point in time, I'll just take that fight. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I like the 1-2 punch. I like Patty, and then I also like Mitchell right after that. So, I mean, it tells me that, like, you're serious. This is something that you're actively thinking about and trying to pursue. Now, what you do is you get your hands on, say somebody who's good with imagery, and you have them make y'all a fucking poster, and then just start fucking hitting social media with that shit. That's the way to go about it. If you got the fun.
Exactly, bro. Which is why after 2 fights ago when I fought Santos, the first thing that I did, man, is in my post-fight interview, I called out Andrew Yates, again, a dude with a solid record, a 13-2 record. I called him out on the mic. I never heard back. Afterwards, I went on social media. I called him out as well, because I figured I would need another win or two before getting into UFC anyway. So I figured, I don't know if calling people out in the UFC is the most realistic move right now. So I thought, who can I call out in LFA with a good record, who would be a notable win? And so, I'm always thinking ahead. I'm always thinking about my next move. This is a game of chess, not just in the sense, not just in fighting. You hear people say it's human chess, but in the sense of marketing, in the sense of business, in the sense of your career. So yeah, dude, I'm always trying to think ahead of good matchups, exciting matchups that would get people talking. And I like that Patty fight, and then I like the Patty Cakes and the Mitchell fight. I like.
100%. Well, I know you've got some, extracurriculars that you've already, committed to directly after this interview. So we'll go ahead and just get to our shout outs, training partners, coaches, sponsors,
Yes. Okay.
team management, whatever you got, man. Go ahead and take the floor.
Thank you. All right, so let me pull this up real quick. I want to make sure I don't forget anybody. But first, I want to definitely give a shout out to my gym, C Gym MMA. My family, my family, dude. The struggle that they went through, man, just keeping the gym open was crazy. Now the gym's at a good place, but dude, my family did everything. I mean, there were times where where I remember my parents saying, man, we may go to the gym tomorrow and the landlords may have locked us out, because we weren't able to pay rent on time or, whatever. So my parents have sacrificed everything. We don't have big money investors behind us. It's family owned. So shout out to my parents, and everybody at Siege MMA, all the coaches, teammates. I also do a lot of cross training over at Fight Ready out in Scottsdale. So shout out to all my teammates and training partners and coaches and everybody out there as well. As far as sponsors go, man, I'm just going to go through the list. Mobile IV Nurses. So if you need some IVs, right, in Arizona, hit them up. My strength and conditioning coach, Warrior Sports Wellness, Legion Tattoo, my jiu-jitsu affiliation, one jiu-jitsu, Isasi Painting, Arcade's Pizza, some of the best pizza in AZ, La Barquita, some of the best Mexican food in Arizona, Showtime Roofing. If you got some issues with your roof, those are the guys. Never for Fame, he's a graphic designer, man. He's the one that designed my last fight shirt. The dude is legit. Patriot Landscaping, iCookie, Solid Cookies. She'll ship as well, so it doesn't matter where you are. If you want some really good cookies, hit her up. My sister, Noelani, so she's huge. She cuts my hair. She's Noelani Salon is the name of her business. Cuts my hair, keeps me looking not as homeless. Sometimes I still look homeless, and I somehow pull that look off, even when I have her as my sister to cut my hair. And then, dude, she also helps me, manage my shirts. When shirt orders and stuff are coming in, she lets me focus on the fight, and she basically takes care of all that kind of stuff. Also does meal prep as well, helps me with my weight cuts. She's a huge reason why my cuts have been a lot easier, when I dropped down to 45. So shout out to her. Naveed Sean, he's one of my strength conditioning boys. He helped me out with my last fight as well. And then last but not least, my management, Sucker Punch. They're the ones that, they're the bridge, man. They're the ones that, whoa. That's my dog, man. My dog is trying to break my iPad. But shout out to Sucker Punch. They're the bridge, man, that gets, me into these organizations. So they've been huge. I've been working with them for a long time now too. So baby, relax. Anyways, that's everybody, man. And then if you guys want to check me out on social media, hit me up, say what's up. My social media is @TheJoann.
All right. Well, I want to thank you. I know it was a couple days, maybe a week of trying to coordinate the damn thing, but we got it done. It's always
man. Better late than never.
Exactly. It's always awesome to have a representative of our state on my show.
That's right.
We go hard. It doesn't matter where in this state. Arizona is definitely where it's at. So definitely thank you for your time. And again, @TheJoann, if you want to scope this guy out, you got merch available, all that shit going on still?
You know what? If people want a shirt, I have a good t-shirt guy that I work with. We can get some stuff made, and it doesn't matter where they are. We can get them shipped out to them. So I appreciate that.
All right, yeah. So hit him up on social media. Get that shirt. I saw it. It's fantastic. You'll be seeing an order from me very soon.
Thanks, man.
And then, of course, we look forward to seeing you in your next fight, wherever you may land. Honestly, I feel that this was a pretty fucking solid performance against a tough veteran. You predicted it, and maybe this Patty guy needs a dance partner for his debut. I think that would be a very fun fight. There's a lot of hype around the guy, but there's a lot of hype around you as well, sir. So again, thanks for the time. I do have one question left for you.
Yes.
I cannot do an interview without this one. After you had that guy quit on the stool,
yes,
what did you celebrate with food wise? What was the victory meal?
Dude, so this is funny, man, but with a lot of my fights, I actually buy sour gummy worms and I leave them in the hotel, and I get down on those things, dude. I don't know what it is, bro. I love sour gummy worms, and so I had 4 bags of gummies. I killed those. We had some pizza that night. Dude, I'm a major foodie, and I'm the least picky eater on the planet. So whatever is around, you hear people make that joke, oh, I'm on the seafood diet. I see food and I eat it. But that's real life. That's real life for me, man. That's you?
Yeah.
So you get it, dude. When I'm not after a fight, after a win, I go ham, dude. Everything that I see. All
right, 100%. Well, I get down on the sour gummies as well. So maybe we can't share a bag. Maybe we can just have one bag for me and one bag for you.
I was gonna say, hey, next time we do an interview, bro. You get a bag, I'll get a bag. We'll eat them during the interview.
100%. 100%. Well, like I said, I look forward to seeing wherever you land next. Keep in touch. Again, at the Jawaian on social media, Twitter and Instagram. Are you on Facebook as well, sir?
Facebook, yeah, Kamuela Kirk.
Okay, so check him out, and we'll be seeing you next time, man. Until then.
I appreciate it, bro. Thank you.
Hey, no problem.